Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success, presents When They Hear Us, an author's movement. A show that provides authors a platform to share their voice with the world. When They Hear Us, with Dr. Tracy Hines Lashley, begins now.
Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Dr. Tracy Hines Lashley. I am the CEO and the founder of a nonprofit corporation called Bossed Up Lead Hers. We are a platform for women and youth, young girls. So if you're interested, hit us up, bossedupleadhers.org. We have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Ann Anderson. She is known as Coach Ann, the CEO and the founder of Butterfly Uprising, LLC, and Unstoppable Women's, LLC, the network. Best-selling author of a novel, Butterfly Uprising. I love that name. She also co-authored 5 anthologies, which is amazing because I like her, love anthology projects, because especially when it's with a bunch of women. So she has 5 anthology projects and also featured in online magazine, Making Headline News, and also featured in Louisiana Leading Ladies. Okay. And she is a speaker, a certified transformational life coach. Welcome to the show, Miss Ann.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Tracy. I am so honored and happy to be here. I really do. Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell us a little about your journey.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you said all the good part.
All of it is good, okay?
That's right. That's you right. I was born in 1956 in Houston, Texas, but my family moved back to their hometown after my dad retired from the military when I was 7 years old. So I was raised in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm the oldest of 7 children, come from a working class family. My dad was a blue-collar worker and functioning alcoholic, and my mom was a nurse and with minimal life skills. I'm also an incest survivor. My stepfather raped me from age 10 until I was 16 years old. So it's a mixed bag. I can't say that there weren't, some moments of happiness and love, but at the same time, very dysfunctional family. At 18, I went to Miami and I went there to go to school, to medical school in Miami, Florida, and met this young Haitian guy who became my baby daddy and my first husband. We stayed together, ended up divorced at 26. Sometime after that, I met the man of my dreams, I thought, who turned out to be a nightmare, and found myself in an abusive relationship at 27. I was a flaming drug addict for over 20 years, hit rock bottom in 1991 when I was smoking crack cocaine in the house with my child there, and my gun accidentally hit the floor and went off. So that was just one of the wake-up calls that I had, that I needed to do something else, put my son somewhere where he can be protected. However, none of these things define who I am today. In 1992, I surrendered my life to Christ, and I have not looked back. I never suffered from withdrawal or went to rehab or anything like that. God supernaturally took drugs and alcohol took the power of it away. And so today, I share my personal story and hope that it inspires confidence in someone else, who's listening. And I'm so thankful for God's grace, because I realize that it is what makes life worth living for me now.
Wow, I was not expecting that one. They say, your story is about you, but it's not for you.
Yeah.
And you telling your story is well needed. People need to hear it.
Thank you.
And, you were talking about the abuse at a young age. I know you said that Christ led you out of it, but before that, how did you stay whole or stay sane through it all?
It was very difficult. It's only by the grace of God. I know that I am here, and everything that I'm doing today, I just stumbled into it. There was a time, a long time, as she just said, from 1966 until 1993, that I was so empty on the inside. I struggled to figure out who I was and why I was here, what my purpose was. I was suicidal, just barely existing, even though no one knew it. Obviously, I was a good actor back then, pretending to be okay. So, because I felt like I was damaged goods, unworthy of love, unwanted, unloved, like I wasn't enough. But I do know that my son has been the driving force in all the right decisions that I've made in my life. So I had to shift my mindset and just started to design and change my reality to one where I win instead of losing all the time. And I was, no longer miserable anymore at that point. So a big part of that was asking myself what I wanted and what was working towards that and what wasn't working. So ultimately, I decided to choose me, to love myself first. I realized that if I could not love anyone else unless I loved myself first. So I had to become my own rescue, became my first client, and embracing that mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, which is all about just figuring out your own truth and not concerning yourself so much with other people's perception of who you are. And yeah, ultimately, I just had to grow into the kind of person who could forgive all of my perpetrators and who could see God's grace in everything that I had gone through and overcome.
Wow. Yeah, that seems like the norm when people to ask that question. It's like, okay, I had to, some people don't actually say they found themselves. Being in a situation to where here you are, this young, vulnerable, little girl,
Mm,
and going through every single thing that you've gone through.
right.
And in your mind, you're like, Lord, why me? Why am I no good?
Hmm.
Is this man doing this to me for punishment? Have I done something wrong? And
Right.
thinking, as you're growing up, I can imagine you just being in a place to where you're thinking this is how all men are.
I went through a lot of that, all those questions I asked myself, and like you just said, I thought that it was something about me, obviously, that would make someone want to do that to me. Something about me, actually, that was different from someone else, everyone else who was in my family, because to my knowledge, at 10, it was only happening to me. So, of course, I blamed myself for many years and thought that maybe it was just because, I was unlovable or, I wasn't enough. I wasn't pretty enough or just something that would cause that kind of thing to happen to me. And so what I did was I, like I said, became a great actress, I guess, because I performed in a lot of activities. I did as many things as I could think of to try to take my mind off of what was going on, what was happening to me. And then he also used a lot of fear tactics. He threatened everyone that I loved. He threatened if I spoke or said anything to anyone that he would kill them. He would kill my mother. He would kill my sisters and brothers. He would, if I start seeing a guy as I got older, that he would kill kill him as well. And he had me thinking that he had police and people watching me on a regular basis. So anything I did, anywhere I went, he knew about it, supposedly. And I believed that for a long time. There was a period of time where I was going to a junior high school and I had to stay at my grandmother's after school, and it happened to be on the way to his job. And so actually, I had to go to work with him every morning, and he picked me up every day to bring me home with the gun between us, to
Wow.
intimidate me. And so, yeah, I lived with that for a long time. But he also had he was a drunk. And I was always very observant, and I kept my eyes and ears open. Over the years, that fear started to go away a little bit, because he was constantly making threats. And the more I observed who he was as a man, I guess I started feeling like he was kind of weak or just a bully, or there's no way he's going to do all the things that he was telling me
Yes.
years that he would do. And when I was 16 years old, I just gotten tired of it, feeling like I was living in bondage in my own house. And it was a lot because of him, trying to keep me from doing anything. And I'm thinking, I'm protecting my family. But at that point, I became a little rebellious. And it was like, you know what? If he's going to do it, I guess it'll be okay. We won't know anything if we're all dead, right? you know.
Wow.
So the next time he come in my room, I'm just gonna, let him know, don't you do that again. If you come back in here again, I am going to tell everyone what you have been doing to me. I was just at that point where I was fed up, and then he just, looked at me very strange and, quietly backed up and went out the door and closed it. I was 16 years old. I had one more year of high school to go. We lived in the same house, like I said, and I don't remember us ever having another conversation after that. I saw him
Wow.
when he started staying away from the house, and so I saw him less and less and less, and I don't even remember us ever seeing each other face to face. I know he never came in my room again, but he never touched me
Wow.
again. I don't believe that we ever had another conversation. And I couldn't believe that that's like that's all I had to do. So of course, then more guilt set in and shame, like did I want this to happen? Like all I had to do was to stay
Mhm.
there. I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was trying to rationalize everything, still, making it appear that it was my fault, that I had done something wrong to cause, that to happen to me.
Wow. I kind of like zoned out for a second because I found myself in that car, in that room. It's like, oh my goodness, and feeling your fear
Hmm.
as a young child, even 16 years old. I can take. I was 16. I didn't know any better. I didn't. I wouldn't have known either.
Hmm.
And I may not have been as brave as you were to say something. Luckily that never happened to me, but I just know back in that era, a lot of people were being molested
Oh yeah,
and no one was saying anything.
that's so true. And
And
I
it's
started.
always what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Yeah, that was the rule in my house as well. So that was another thing. And then in my 10-year-old mind, because he was a parent figure to me. And the other thing was, if my mother didn't know or if it wasn't okay, then how could he give so much time away from her and everybody else that this could take place? Like,
Yes.
and the older I got, like before when I was younger, of course, I guess it was better for me to kind of think that it was this huge secret and nobody knew but he and I and my mother, and nobody else knew about it. But the older I got and the more I've shared my story, like, and how could she not know? You know, because all those nights of him, I feel like I've been married, like I'm 64 now. I've been married most of my life, altogether almost 40 years between two marriages. And I believe I would know if my husband was getting out of the bed,
Oh yes.
you know what I'm saying, on a regular basis and not there for a certain amount of time. And especially on the regular, like what? With more kids in the house and that kind of thing. And then I had a lot of guilt too because I didn't say anything still. So then when I left to go to college the next year, when I graduated from high school, I was, sort of being fearful that my sisters would have to, face the same thing. But fortunately, what happened is, I had the room to myself, being the oldest, and my other two sisters shared a room together. And then all the boys shared a room, and then the other room was the master bedroom for my parents, right? So once I left, graduated from high school, they wanted my bedroom. And I understand he did come one time and they both, you know, like stood up in the bed at the same time and like, you know, like what? You know, that
Wow.
look, and I understand according to them, that's all that happened.
Oh man. So did you ever
Whereas,
talk to your mother?
unfortunately, no, you know, I really didn't have much of a childhood. My mother and I, we, besides all that, had a great friendship, relationship, whatever. I've always been very independent and, you know, did a lot of things on my own. Like when I decided to go to college, I didn't really even talk to her about it. I was working. I've been working and driving since I was 15, taught myself how to drive and actually used to drive her around, pick up her check because she couldn't drive. So I had a lot of responsibility. I've been cooking full course meals since I was 10 years old as well. And so I had a whole lot of responsibility,
Whoa.
mom. And so, yeah, so I made all those arrangements myself. When I graduated from high school, I just basically told her what I was doing, where I was going. She was like, really? That's what you want to do? That's where you're going? Like, yes, yes, yes. And but you know, our relationship basically consisted of watching soap operas because I was a grade A student. You know, with all the activities and everything else I was doing, I've always loved school, and you know, that was very important to me to make good grades. And it, you know, wasn't like, you know, it wasn't because my parents forced me to do it or anything like that. It's just something that's just who I was. And I believe that those things kind of just became my saving grace, though, you know, to help me get through all of those things. And people often ask me, do you think she was a good mother? And I do. I think she was a good mother to the point that I realized some things about her childhood that obviously made her feel stuck in some sort of way, probably feeling the same way I was feeling as an abused child, feeling unloved, like she was damaged goods, abandoned, that kind of thing. You know, that was during the time when our families, our parents, my mother come from a large family of like 30 kids and
Ooh.
two boys and all the girls. She was the first child. I think my grandmother lost the first two, and then the first one that was born was my mother, and the next one was the son, and then it was a whole bunch of more girls, and then another boy somewhere down the line. But what happened, unfortunately, I'm really putting the beans out there now, but he eventually found out that I guess my grandmother was something else. Uh, her father was not my grandmother's husband. Hello.
Oh.
Yeah. And so obviously he found out about that. I guess he couldn't handle that. So her mother's mother raised her. She was the only one. Can you imagine out of all those children? And you
Wow.
separated from your other siblings and you're raised by someone else, your grandmother instead of your mother. So, you know, over the years, I guess that has really helped me too. I try to put myself in other people's places and see where they're coming from. Over the years, I realized too that hurt people, and that a lot of times the way people are, how they handle things and deal with things, has a lot to do with their own immaturity. And when people hurt you, a lot of times that have more to do with their immaturity and how hurt they are that they're not dealing with whatever it is that happened to them that they're dealing with, and so that they just project it onto other people as opposed to dealing with it themselves. And so that's kind of, I believe, in a nutshell, I believe he was also abused as well. I remember his mother, very, very, yeah, I guess mean. You know, she was not a nice lady. So, you know, I can't imagine being raised by her.
Oh, wow.
And,
Yeah.
you know, so it's just kind of, you know,
Man.
it was a
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And when we come back, I want you to share some of your writing, like the message behind it, and also that transformational coach life. We'll be right back.
Hi, meet Ann Anderson, aka Coach Ann. She is an Amazon #1 best-selling author, speaker and certified transformational life coach. A part of 5 anthologies, featured in Online Magazine, Headlines News, and also featured in Louisiana's Leading Ladies. She has participated in numerous interviews and podcasts. She is the CEO and founder of Butterfly Uprising LLC and Unstoppable Women's Network Group. It helps women to change their lives inside and out and from head to toe by letting go of their past using simple techniques that have powerful results. So that you can break free from self-critical thinking, control your thoughts and feelings, master your emotions, achieve your ideal body, find the confidence to reach your highest potential, design the life of your dreams and to maximize all of your life experiences to become unstoppable. Services offered: on-site seminars, executive coaching, individual and group coaching, keynote speaker and online workshops. Visit her Amazon.com to purchase her book, Butterfly Uprising. For more information, please visit her website, andanderson.com, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook. Email, coach.annanderson@gmail.com for her free ebook, or at 318-262-0245.
And we are back. We are here with the beautiful Miss Ann Anderson, known as Coach Ann. We are talking about her life, her writing, and we are going to have some juice for you about women in business, some essential tools. So Miss Ann, or Coach Ann, shall I say, tell us a little bit about your writing and what it means to be a certified transformational life coach.
Oh, it means a lot to me. My writing, first of all, I've always known that I wanted to be a writer. I was actually told in high school by one of my professors that I could write and that I, was a good writer. So I just put it off for a very long time. Actually, it was my son really pushed me into doing it when I did, finally, at 59 years old. And I've always known, too, that the first book, it was going to be Butterfly something, but for the longest time, I didn't have any idea. I didn't know that it was going to be about me, that it was going to be actually my story, until I actually began to sit down and start to write, figure out what the book was going to be about. And I realized, my story was perfect. My life chronicled from age 10 all the way up to 59 years old. And because of what Butterfly kind of stands for: transformation, metamorphosis, changing, evolving, that kind of thing. So that's how Butterfly Uprising came about. And what the book is about the metamorphosis of one woman's life's journey through interlocking stories of incest, drug addiction, and domestic violence. It's funny. It's also faith-based, and it was creatively written to correlate with the developmental stages of the butterfly through the maturation of Alexander Scott, who is my character in the book. But ultimately, it speaks about our inner ability, no matter what it is that we go through, to prevail through God's undeniable grace. And so it was very healing for me to finally get that out. Up until that time, I had actually been mentoring young girls and coaching, consulting for at least 20 plus years. But, that was before this got to be so popular. So I really didn't know what I was doing. It's just that it was funny. I always had people coming up to me, strangers, people I don't know, airports, on planes, in stores, anywhere, in the park, and just start telling me their life story. I mean, the most horrific things. And for years, I just couldn't figure out why it is that, all these people that I don't know would come and just tell me these things. And a lot of times it had to do with some type of abuse. And for the most part, they would be like, I never shared this or told this to anyone else before. Nobody else knows. I'm like, wow. And then finally, it dawned on me one year. I'm like, Lord, maybe they do that because of all the things that I've gone through. I kind of, buried it, I guess, for a long time, as I healed over the years and, was able to forgive and it not be bitter and not be suicidal and not be depressed and, that sort of thing. I got to a point where I love who I am, love myself, and was doing things to make me happy, make me feel good. So, I was living my life and enjoying it the best that I could. And I really didn't think too much about all of the things that I had overcome for a long time until I started sharing with these people who would come to me. And the reason I would share, because I could tell even though they were sharing, they were feeling a lot of shame and guilt, and I wanted to make them feel better. So I let them know, hey, I understand. I've been there, done that, this and that happened to me. So for the longest, I was just sharing it with those people. I had been very private about who I am and what I had gone through up until that point that I decided to sit down and write the book in 2015, finished it in 2016, and it got published by a publishing company out of New York in 2017. But I realized, I had been doing that all that time. I took young women into my home, even one with kids, that kind of thing. I actually kind of raised a little girl. I got her before she became a teenager. She's still in my life. I'm still working with her today. Now she's in her early to mid 30s and doing very well. But it was only the grace of God that helped me with her, because when I first met her, she was very, very suicidal. I actually talk about her in the book, but not her real name. She had been abused by her biological father since she was an infant, and then had different other men in her life who had abused her and raped her over the years by the time I met her. And so, she was in a very bad way, but she's doing very well now, has her own salon, and she's not suicidal. She's in church, she's saved, and she's still working on herself, because it's a constant, ongoing thing, personal self-development. I don't believe it's anything that we could ever stop doing, to be honest with you. So I'm definitely a fan. And so getting into it as a business, as when I moved here to Dallas, and after I wrote the book, and actually what happened, God has a sense of humor. I wrote the book thinking, well, I put everything out there now. People are going to buy the book and they're going to read it and they're going to get this revelation. They're going to get healed all of a sudden. So I'm done. And but not, that was very naive, of course. And then God dropped it in my spirit. No, if you want to make the kind of impact that you want to make, I know that you do globally with women all over the world, you're going to have to get in front of the book. You're going to have to start teaching the book face to face. You're not just going to be able to make the kind of impact that you want to make just by selling the book itself. And so I decided to, I have been always have admired Lisa Nichols. So she became my executive coach, my first executive coach, actually. I loved her, and I remember seeing her in The Secret. I knew our lives kind of parallel with each other as well. And I'd always admired her since I saw her on Oprah. And when God dropped that in my spirit, she was the first person that I thought of to get training under and to learn how to speak, that kind of thing. And so I just got closer to her, and I spent a lot of time with her, did a few retreats, and I've gotten other coaches over the years, but, they helped me to perfect what I'm doing, and then actually gather some more skills and some strategies and tools. And I decided to get my certification as well to, gain some more credibility to what I was doing, so I can help more people. And so that's where I am and how I got where I am today. But that's how it started.
Wow, this amazing story. When we talk about transformation, the first step is changing your mindset.
Yes.
Your own BS system. I want to put system in, but it's belief system. So, so it is very challenging to do that, because it's always something in the back of your mind just playing with you. I say it's a devil, but so being in the right mindset is very crucial. So as you're trying to develop yourself, how were you able to make that shift?
Like I said, you just have to ask yourself a lot of powerful questions and be ready to, and I tell people that all the time, when you do that, you want to take your time, so you can answer it powerfully back. You don't want to just, give a surface answer, be too quick. You want to really think about what it is that you're saying. So I learned the hard way, because at the time, when I was going through everything that I was going through, it wasn't so, widespread. Everybody talking about, well, I mean, everybody's talking about everything now, abuse, domestic violence and incest and the whole 9 yards. But, when I was a child, I didn't hear anything about that. As far as I know, there weren't any resources to help. And, so I just it was just a lot of trial and error. And that's why I believe that my journey was so long, though, as well, because I didn't really know where to go or seek any kind of help. It just, I believe that even though, because a lot of people say, if, like, where was God in this? And I know he was there. I believe that he was mentoring to me, and my first coach before I even knew what all that was or had a coach. So actually it was him. It was his grace that was there protecting me, even though he allowed me to go through all those things. I know that he was there as well. And once I actually came into the church and realized, started to learn about who he is and what all he did for me before I even existed, and what all that meant. It just kind of brought everything home, and it made it so much easier too for me to forgive and realize, yeah, I'm supposed to do that. That's exactly what I'm supposed to do. And like you said at the beginning of the broadcast, that I realized too over the years, that everything that I'd gone through, went through, and overcome, it was not for me, and I had a responsibility to share it, and I couldn't keep it to myself. That would just be like a criminal, because I wouldn't, there's too many people out there hurting and who have gone through the same thing, who don't have a voice, who, feel like no one cares or want to know what they went through. Even the Me Too thing, people often ask me, how do I feel about it? And I think it's great, but those people are famous, so they kind of feel like, people want to know and they care about them, but people like myself, not rich, don't feel the same way. We don't have that same attitude. But we need to be cared for and need to learn how to become whole just as well as anybody else, maybe even more so than some of these people. And so it is a long process. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's a lot of taking, putting one foot forward, and then, because life happens, going back 10 steps and having to crawl your way back up again. So, you just get to a point where I always say that I believe that all the things that I've gone through, it's been my biggest asset, is to the giving me the capability of learning how to overcome adversity and to become resilient, just bouncing back, no matter what happened, no matter how many times I go down, just having that resilient spirit about me to continue to come back fighting, trying to be better every time.
Yes, it seems like, okay, so during this time, did you ever like record the outcome? Did you know what you wanted before you started this change?
I didn't. I didn't do that, except for, just maybe talking to myself, or you mean like literally making a recording? No, but you do have to, talk to yourself, that kind of thing. So I had to do a lot of mirror work before I knew what my coach mentor Lisa has a mirror work exercise. It's different from what I was doing, but it managed to help me as well. But hers is a lot better and more expensive. But, and what I realized too, when I was suicidal, I always had, I don't know, maybe it was a lot of pride or something, or this feeling that I just didn't want to hurt my family. I would start thinking about, well, if I did that, they would be hurt, wondering why, because they thought I was so happy and everything was okay. So, and I didn't want to put them through that. So I would always talk myself out in the mirror, that no, I can't do that. That's not a good thing for me to do. I need to stick around, even though I don't know why, what for. And, it seemed like things are just not going the way I want them to go. And like, I'm the only one, like on an island by myself. I just, kept getting the courage or getting the strength or whatever it was to continue to stay here and stick it out and to see what happens, but eventually I got to a point where like I said, it got to be good because I became very selfish. At first I was thinking, it was someone else's responsibility to make me happy, and what they did and didn't do affected me way too much. And I realized, you know what, I'm giving them my power. And if I expect for them to treat me a certain way, I knew that I wasn't treating myself good. So why should I expect someone else to treat me better than I'm treating my own self? And once I got that revelation, I decided, you know what, I am going to start treating myself well. And I could really care less. I don't care what anybody says about it. I'm going to treat myself good first. I'm going to show them how I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to be treated, how I want to be treated, how to treat me. And it just kind of, continue to grow from there.
Yeah. And I know one of the biggest things is you have to be your own cheerleader.
Exactly.
If you don't cheer for yourself, how you going to expect other people to cheer for you?
So like I said, I learned this the hard way. Nobody told me. I hadn't heard it nowhere. So what I was doing, I just knew I was desperate. I needed to do something to get out of that funk because I was going down.
Yes.
And it was very lonely. So even when I was surrounded by a lot of people, I still felt very much alone.
Yeah. And I see, okay, you changed your mindset. You were committed to your decision. You took action. You achieved results that you wanted to. You were consistent.
Yes.
You had to even change your identity because that person you thought you were was no longer valid.
Exactly.
So your transformational life coach practice, how do you get people to that mastery level?
Basically, like I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter really how good your program is because you have to do the work, just like I just told you. If you don't put the work in, it doesn't matter how good a program is, you're not going to see any transformation, no kind of change happening. So
I co-sign that.
It's about taking action, like you can probably come up with, even if it's not, and I've also learned too over the years that, transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's not like one big explosion where, all
yes.
transform, because you did something. It's a lot of little micro wins, a lot of little small,
baby
steps, period of time.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what I tell people, but I do believe that my program, I know that it works, like I said, because I'm proof. I was my first client, so I put myself through this, even though things that some of the strategies and tools in my program now are things that I've accumulated and learned from other coaches over the past 4 years, but at the same time, the things that I was doing even prior to that helped me even get to that point where I still know, okay, you're still evolving, you still need some help, you need to get a coach, so you can continue to grow and, continue your personal self-development on yourself, especially if you want to, help other people, because that can be draining as well. When you hear the kind of stories that I'm telling you on a regular basis, if you don't keep yourself well and built up on the inside, then it could start to, might start to going backwards. So I make sure that doesn't happen because I'm always working on me. I'm always redesigning and redefining my life, my reality, my fears and all those kind of things. And so I encourage other people to do the same thing. But I know, like I said, the tools and strategies that I'm using in my program, they've been tried and tested. I believe that where I probably feel the gap is that I don't believe that you can really help someone to overcome something if you haven't overcome it yourself. And my program is not transactional, it's relational. It's about the heart, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm, really, I feel like it's my mission, it's my passion. So I'm really serious and put my heart in working with them, giving them the guidance and the strategies and tools that they need to, to make those little moves in their lives. So even if I get you from A to B, that's a move. I may not get you from A to Z, but if you make any progress, and like I said, it takes time and it's little baby steps over a long period of time. Anyway, so
yeah, product of the product. We are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we are going to listen to some essential tools for women in business. We'll be right back.
Dr. Lashley is an expert teen culture strategist who educates leaders on techniques to harmonize family and work life while developing dynamic and productive teams. After being raised underprivileged, becoming a single mother of two, Dr. Lashley married an Army soldier who deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, and Korea 11 times during his 20 years of service. She was forced to raise 3 of 5 children essentially alone. As a working mother and college student for 10 years, she had to find a sense of balance while juggling her children's activities and not losing herself in the process. She now helps working mothers and women in leadership positions harmonize their life while creating dynamic and productive teams at home and work. Are you ready for Dr. Lashley to elevate your teams at work and home? If so, contact her today by sending an email to info@drtracielashly.com or by going to her website at drtracylashley.info.
We are back. We are here listening to Coach Ann today. Man, it's almost over. It has been such great information that you've been sharing. So, can you tell us a little bit about some tools that you use as a woman in business?
Sure, I would love to. First, I'd like to read a quote. I love quotes, and this one is by Randy Pulsch, and it's called The Brick Walls. The brick walls are there for a reason. The brick walls are not there to keep us out. They are there to give us a chance to show how badly we want something, because the brick walls are there to stop the people who don't want it badly enough. They're there to stop the other people. I thought that was, so profound. And, you're going to be tested. You're going to, you're going to hit speed bumps. You're going to fall flat on your face. You may even run into brick walls that you can't pass, but like Randy said, those brick walls are not there to stop you. They are there to show you how bad you want it and allow you to overcome your struggles while others give up. So I put these 12 essential tools, strategies for leading women in business together. And I believe that to be effective as leaders, women must embrace their unique capabilities and strengths, as well as be willing to draw on the tools and resources that any leader needs from time to time, right? So it's actually 12 of them, but I'm not going to go through all of those. I'm going to skip around and just talk about a few that I think are essential. So the first one is to speak up and speak often. And what I'm saying is that you want to speak up and ask for what you want and ask for what you need. So many of us, we expect people to read our minds, but people can't do that. You really need to ask for what you want. I heard this saying, I don't know who says it, but it says, because the future belongs to those who ask for it. And that's so true, right? And then the number 2 is to look at potential, not the past. Your past is behind you. You can't change it, and it will continue to block you until you shift your attention towards better stories that highlight your greatest potential. And that's what I had to do. One of the things that I had to do as well. Let me see. Number 4 is build on your strengths. So you want to identify your unique superpowers and make sure that they're clearly stated and implemented in whatever it is you do. So I know my superpower is that I teach women how to change an aspect of their lives in 21 days at a time. So it's so incredibly transformational that from the time that we start and we finish working over the course of 6 months, which is how long the program is, their lives are completely unrecognizable. So I really encourage people to utilize that as well. And let's see. So the 6th one, and then, okay, I like this one too. The 5th one was to demonstrate courage, owning the power of a woman's voice, like living in your truth, caring less having, less concern about what other people's opinion of you are. And if you don't know Lisa Nichols, you need to get to know her because she is powerful. So I repeat a lot of stuff that she says. And one of the things that she used to say all the time is that other people's opinion of you is none of your business. So I thought
that is so true. It's like, it is not my problem that you don't like me or care for me or don't like what I'm doing. That's your problem. And if you are so stuck on what I'm doing, my business, you don't have enough of your own.
Exactly. And one more, learn to be selfish, because by nurture or by nature, women generally put themselves last on the list, and then feel selfish if they move up a spot or two. Stop it. Be selfish. It's okay. I promise it's okay. Make time for self-care, to get to know yourself, do what you want, and don't justify it. Say no, and then don't feel bad or feel guilty for it, So stop doing things to please others if it makes you feel miserable. Be you unapologetically, because you can't give your best if you aren't your best, which is the authentic you. So,
yes.
Yeah.
This is the year that Tracy is being selfish. I said, I am going to do more of practicing what I preach, because I don't say work-life balance. I say to harmonize your life, because you want to have all the pieces gel together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I teach, my clients is, okay, I teach them that teamwork at work is awesome, because guess what? You can leave work on time.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not doing it yourself. Exactly. And then your family is also a team.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your family helping you out around the house. Guess what? You don't have to go straight home after work.
Right.
So what is that? It leaves you some me time in between work and home.
Amen.
So you can go I go to the nail salon. I do not touch my phone. Don't, if I'm at a nail salon, don't call me.
Okay.
I can look right there at my phone. I am not answering. This is my time.
We need it, girl. It's so necessary. It's not, it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
I just try to tell women all the time. I know it's been very important to me, and I didn't mention that earlier, but that was also one of the things that, helped me to get to where I am today. Like, part of that taking care of me and making me happy, it was, massages and nails and just whatever it is that I wanted to do. It made me feel good, made me feel like a woman, made me feel beautiful, feel pretty or whatever. And, I've just been getting into it even more and more over the years. So what I like this year, I want to, I have a bucket list, and I've been, chopping it down. And so, yeah, I tell everyone I've been on the journey to have it all and not miss a beat. And I still am.
Yes, it's amazing. And, the first thing you were talking about was speaking up. I'm like, there are so many Black women who are tired of being labeled as the angry Black woman.
Oh, I don't care. Like that's their problem. That's their
yes. Problem. And it's kind of weird, because like, my kids are gonna, get me for this, but my boys, they're like, well, I don't care for a lot of Black girls because they're, so you already know what I was going.
It's so funny. Yeah. I hear you. I just had this conversation with someone last night. Like, really?
Because we have an opinion, we're going to let you know how we feel, and we're not going to be quiet anymore. What? You don't like us?
But aggressive. Like, really? Okay. Yeah. All right. Something wrong with you.
Yes, exactly. And they're seeing more and more that it's just women. It does not have a race attached to it.
It does not have a race to it. And of course, I hate to not, I better not say that. I was going to say, Puerto Ricans, they even get it even worse,
Oh, yes.
I'm like, oh, just stop it. Just stop.
Yes, I have a diverse group of friends, and it's funny. My Puerto Rican friends are like, they just go off all the time. I'm like, girl, don't you get tired of that? And the guys just sit there and be like,
poor thing. I'm just yeah. He needs to do some. He needs some personal self-development.
yes,
He needs a coach.
yes, women are women.
Well, somebody. Yeah. I specifically, because I had to choose, it's so broad. I know everybody needs help, and I get it. I really do. But, I realized though that I couldn't help everybody. So, and I've had people, in cabs, traveling like, so you don't help men? I'm like, so if I know anything, I try to give them, I'm like, you're so pitiful. Like, yeah, if I can. I mean, I know some male coaches too.
Yeah.
You might want to work with them. They'll be able to help you. But
it's not saying that we can't help men. It's just, okay, what is your niche? What is your passion? I can help you, if I felt like it, but I just want to focus on women.
A lot of these things, they need to do it too. They need to love themselves first. They need to fall madly in love with who they are.
Yes.
And they need to know that they are enough. They were born enough. They woke up enough. They don't have to do nothing special. All that stuff. So some of the things it does carry over. Everybody needs it. So we can help them. We definitely could help them.
Exactly. Well, it was amazing having you here today, and I want you to tell the audience how they can get in touch with you, what service you can provide for them, and just give a little bit of information that they can reach out if they need to.
Sure, I would love to. So kicking off in March through 2021, all this year, I made a commitment. Every month, I'm going to help at least 2 women to overcome her fears, her past, so that, she can live the life of her dreams without apology, unapologetically, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and step into the best version of herself. Is that you? If you are listening to this broadcast, to this show right now, if you want to get over your fear or get unstuck, if anything that I've said today resonates with you and you are interested in working with me, apply for a consultation to speak with me about how to implement some of these strategies in your life to overcome your fears. Just email me at coach.annanderson@gmail.com. That's coach.annanderson@gmail.com. So you can apply for a consultation with me or someone in my team so that we can see whether working together or not, might be a good fit. And for the first 3 people to book a consultation with me, I'm going to give them, they're going to be entered into a very special drawing for a $100 Amazon gift card. And every week I'm going to be giving away one of my an autographed copy of my book, Butterfly Uprising. And all you have to do is sign up for a strategy session. So if this sounds like something that would be good for you, then please, contact me at coach.annanderson@gmail.com. And you can get my book at amazon.com. And my website is andanderson.com or butterflyuprising.com. And I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Are you on Clubhouse too? Because everybody's on Clubhouse.
Everybody, but I have an Android, and they keep telling me I have to have a.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, really? Come on, how can they do that?
In a few months, they'll have an Android, device. Well, it has been fun, Coach Ann.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you back again next week.
Thank you for listening to When They Hear Us, where Dr. Tracy Hines Lashley and her guests provide stories and experiences. This is also a platform for authors to encourage, empower, and equip people around the world with their voice. To learn more about Dr. Lashley and her quest to share the voice of powerful writers, go to her website at drtracylashley.info. You may also contact her by sending an email to info@drtracylashley.com. Remember to always intentionally walk in your purpose and strive to elevate to significance.